Hey everybody, this has been KSGeekMan, Star Wars fan for life since 1977 when I was the ripe age of, I think I saw this first Star Wars when I was 3. And it's been a part of my life since then. So yes, you can do the calculations. I'm a 45-year-old child who enjoys the finer things of Star Wars and geek culture. And I'm excited that you are a part of the KSGeekMan channel. Glad you're here today. This is a special day because we are sitting at December 17th, 2019, and tomorrow, the first public viewings of the final addition to the Star Wars Skywalker saga happens. People are going to start seeing it. Normal people, not the folks who are basically press or media or quote-unquote, using air quotes, influencers. Just basic people like myself, excuse me, are going to be going to see this movie. I won't be seeing it until Friday. So one of the things I wanted to do before the film hits theaters is I wanted to just talk through my my Star Wars favorites order, my ranking list, right? So every time a Star Wars film comes out, over on my Instagram at KSGeekMan, I will post a ranking order for my Star Wars movies. And I thought, you know what? Hey, rather than just post them, which I've already done, I thought I'd talk through the why. So one of the things I do is when I do this, I basically am just looking at any film that's been released in the theaters, in a movie theater. I'm not counting the holiday special. I'm not counting the Ewok TV movies, none of that. Anything that hit the movie theaters. Yes, that includes the Clone Wars film from 2008. So, so here we go. I'm going to start with my, I think I'll start from number 1 to the last one. My number 1 film, and this happens every year. It occurs every year. Number 1 is The Empire Strikes Back. It's got everything in this film. It was delivered in a perfect package. Everything from the acting to the story to editing to the soundtrack. Literally, there is nothing in this film that, in my opinion, is bad or wrong. It's just a great movie. I think it's the fact that it's the middle of a trilogy and really embellishes and really adds to character development. I think it does a fantastic job at that. It really creates attention. Now, when I was a kid, this was my least favorite because it did not have finality to it. And as I got older, I began to appreciate just how well executed this film was with the storytelling by George Lucas and the directing by Irvin Kershner and just all of the actors. Everybody just executed this film flawlessly. Not to mention the addition of Billy Dee as Lando Calrissian, I think was also extremely helpful. My number 2 is this year is Revenge of the Sith, and it was the same last year in I think it was 2018, 2017. Yeah, 2018. It was also my number 2, and this one surprises people because there's so much dislike for prequel movies, but I know that this one is actually probably the one that more people actually enjoy out of the prequels. I love this film. I think the culmination of political corruption, corrupted religious tradition, power, deceit, and a figure caught in the middle of it all in Anakin. He's trying to protect himself and all that he loved. It's one flaw for me for a while was the seemingly quick turn of Anakin to the dark side. But when you watch this film, you'll actually see and note that the ingredients were all there for it to happen, and I think the greatest tension was how he was being pulled from all sides. The Jedi wanted him to spy on his mentor. The mentor wanted him to spy on the Jedi. His wife, secret wife, wanted him to try and influence his mentor. So the guy had so many things going against him. So I really enjoy Revenge of the Sith. Great movie, visually stunning, and I think Ewan McGregor, of course, plays an amazing Obi-Wan. It's just a great movie. So the next one for me on my list is number 3 is Return of the Jedi. This one This one I have at number 3, and it kind of fluctuates. My 2, 3, and 4 spots, they kind of move around. But this one was consistent with last year as well. I appreciate even more, after The Last Jedi, the story arc of Luke. Through unwavering resilience, Luke proved to his broken father that he was worthy of unconditional love in spite of feeling it was too late for him, right? Anakin was finally given what he sought through the love of his son, and he threw himself in harm's way to sacrifice himself for his son. This story is all about redemption and redeeming the unredeemable, and I just love Return of the Jedi, and that's what Star Wars has always been about to me. It's just always been about the story arc of redemption. So, Return of the Jedi, awesome movie. My number 4 this year is A New Hope, also known as just plain old Star Wars to me as a kid. This one, it kind of gets a legacy pass frequently to me. It'll pop up in my number 2 or 3 spot sometimes, just because it's just, it's where it all started. And I find myself sometimes popping it in more often than others, but this year it's not. It's down at my number 4, which isn't a bad place to be at all. It's just a good movie. Still has a special place in my ranking. It laid the foundation perfectly for this whole franchise. So yeah, nothing much to say. Everybody knows Star Wars inside and out. My next one is my number 5 is The Phantom Menace. This one surprises people because there's so much hatred for this movie. But being that it is 2019, it's the 20th anniversary of The Phantom Menace, I have found myself kind of spending more time watching this movie in 2019 because I do have, this one does have a special place in my heart. I just remember 1999. I loved that time frame, the excitement, and I was actually not disappointed in that film. I know I'm in the minority, but I just love it. The way it opens up a whole new understanding of the political climate and the state of the Jedi religion. The foundation was laid well for corruption to take hold. And Qui-Gon was the only one who saw it coming. And I just love that character. I think he was a great Jedi. And I think I'll put a link here at this point where you can watch a video I did on my love for Qui-Gon Jinn. I think he's awesome. All right, my next film on the list is number 6 is Attack of the Clones. Number 6, Attack of the Clones. Where I think it lacks in execution, like acting, some editing, visual green screen oversaturation, it makes up for in its layered storytelling. It was an aggressive undertaking. I think many folks are I think they're starting to appreciate it more in the current era that we live in as consumers of Star Wars. This one, honestly, for years, well, probably since it came out, was probably at the bottom of my list. But it's moved up quite a bit since then. My number 7 is Rogue One, and I enjoy Rogue One quite a bit. It's my favorite of the Disney era Star Wars. I never thought there needed to be an explanation for the design flaw, or that it was a mistake that needed fixing, the design flaw in the Death Star. However, I thought what John Knoll had come up with as a story was perfect. It was what we Star Wars fans of the 90s expanded universe dreamed of. I didn't fall in love so much with characters. K2SO, of course, is excluded. He was just awesome. But I did appreciate their addition to the universe. And let's just say this, really what really pushes this film up for me is Darth Vader. I mean, come on. I do think that they did a great job with the Grand Moff Tarkin CGI. I thought it was great, phenomenal. The Princess Leia, meh, not so much. It kind of looked a little weird and fake to me. Looked like a video game. But, hey, great job, great movie, really fun. All right, my number 8. Number 8 is Clone Wars, and this one will surprise people. Clone Wars, I put this one at number 8 because when I look at the ones below it, this is one that honestly I enjoy more than the rest of the films. Because I do love Clone Wars. I enjoy that TV series quite a bit. And I know that this movie was actually like 3 or 4, I can't remember how many, 3 or 4 episodes, a 3 or 4 episode story arc that they just decided to, George put together and said, hey, let's drop this in the movie theater. We're going to surprise fans. which they did. It was a surprise in 2008. I remember taking my daughter right after school. I got her out of school a little earlier, and I think she was in like second or first grade, and we went and saw it. She loved this movie, and it was a great way to just launch us into a fantastic TV series. Great show. I mean, I'll be honest, the animation was not as spectacular, and it got better with the TV show as it went on, but it was just entertaining. It was great. I loved seeing Anakin and Obi-Wan's relationship and friendship being expounded upon. It enhanced the prequels for me. My number 9 is The Force Awakens. This one has kind of faded down for me over the past couple years since it came out. When I first saw this movie, to me, it really felt like A New Hope 2.0. It was very entertaining. I saw it in the theater like 7 or 8 times. I enjoyed it. It was a lot of fun. And I gave it a pass, hoping to see where they were going to take it next. But when the lights came up, my wife asked me what I thought of the film, and I was like, well, I could really tell that George Lucas really wasn't involved in this, and because there really wasn't anything new. It was the same story, and throughout the film, I just was able to predict what was going to happen next, and I was pretty spot on as the movie was going. Visually stunning, beautiful. I think there was some hope for me. Some hopefulness with some of the new characters I really thought were decent, but so I'll hold off until we get to The Last Jedi. My number 10 is Solo. Solo, a Star Wars story. It had an uphill battle coming on the heels of The Last Jedi. I just didn't really care for the movie overall. Despite what the theories are, I don't really think it would have fared any better in December, honestly. In 2018, I think it was fine to release it in May. I don't know. It just isn't a movie I really enjoyed. I tried. I watched it in theater once, and it's the first Star Wars film that I did not buy. And that was a big deal for me because I'm always buying every Star Wars film on Blu-ray, and I just didn't buy it. I think it was dark, like literally, visually. I couldn't see what was going on in the movie theater. Tried to watch it at home, same thing. Couldn't see what was happening. And I didn't really like what I think that Donald Glover did a great job at kind of imitating Billy Dee as Lando in some ways and kind of making it his own. Wasn't a big fan of kind of how they pointed him in certain directions. I didn't really like his relationship with the droid. I can't remember its name. L7, L3, I can't remember. Didn't like their relationship at all. It seemed out of character when he was crying in the middle of a battle over a droid. Seemed a little weird to me. Just didn't fit. I know a lot of people like it, and it's okay. We have differences of opinions there. Did not like the L7 droid at all. It was awful to me. So anyway, there you go. Okay, my last one. Star Wars movie that sits on the bottom of my list is coming in at number 11 is The Last Jedi. I'm not going to beat this one to death because I processed this one quite a bit, and you can see on Instagram if you go and you look at my hashtag that I have, hashtag KSGeekMan TLJ. You can go see me processing as I reviewed this thing, I think 8 or 9 times on my Instagram. Lights come up. My friend who I was with asked me what I thought, and I said, I don't know. I need to see it again. Just a lot there for me that I didn't enjoy. It really just overall felt like a Disney TV show in some parts. Didn't enjoy Canto Bight at all. I didn't like what they did with Luke. Seemed out of character to me. As a 40-some-odd year fan of Star Wars, it just really seemed out of nature for the character of Luke that we saw in Return of the Jedi, who passionately and without fail and wavering went to go rescue his father and see his father redeemed. To see that change in Luke to a point where he was willing to just give up and surrender. That just didn't seem right. I really wished that they would have taken it a different way. My hope was that Luke was going to find that the flaws of the Jedi and their religion and improve upon it and make it right. And going back to what Qui-Gon talked about, the living Force and following the Force in a more pure way versus their religious traditions that ended up helping to contribute to the fall of Anakin Skywalker and all that stuff. Didn't happen. Instead, we got something different. So, didn't like it. Yeah, so my hope is that this next movie, The Rise of Skywalker, will somehow kind of maybe make sense to me, but I really just don't see it. I just don't see it as ever being, for me personally, a good second act to a trilogy. So we'll see what they do in a couple days. I don't know. I could come back and I may be like, man, that movie was amazing. So I do have an open mind. I am open to sitting in that theater and letting it change me, change my mind, change my thoughts, my heart towards current Star Wars. But at any rate, I am just fine with other people enjoying this stuff. I am a fan of people talking about Star Wars, of people sharing their thoughts and processing it. And I love engaging with people and talking to people about it. I don't like the whole anger and yelling at each other and being frustrated. I don't like being called names because I don't like The Last Jedi, and I don't like people who don't like The Last Jedi calling others, stupid or whatever because they don't like because they're not seeing it the same way. So yeah, so this is it. This is my current ranking for 2019. And hey, if you're into that, drop a comment. Let me know what your ranking is, or go find my post on KSGeekMan on Instagram. You can drop a comment there as well. So anyway, thanks so much for listening. I hope that you guys go into the theater with an open heart and mind here in the next couple days, and or if you're watching this in the future, welcome to the past, and you're listening to someone who has yet to see The Rise of Skywalker. So once I see it and I process it for a bit, hopefully I'll do a video and be able to express my thoughts and opinions on what I saw. Thank you guys so much. Take care.